So I know a lot of people were up in arms when we heard about Mr. Canelo Alvarez supposedly going up to cruiserweight to fight some gentleman named Mr. Makabu. Nobody had ever heard of him before, but we
Ever.
all heard about that supposedly going down and was approved by the WBC, who we know lets Canelo do whatever he wants. Well, it actually looks like Canelo Alvarez is about to reverse course, and they're actually about to go to a more noticeable name, none other than Mr. Jermall Charlo. So tell me, Q, will this be a good fight for Canelo Alvarez? It sounds like the fight is going to happen at 168. So actually, Jermall Charlo is going to have to go up a weight class. It actually won't even be at the 160-pound limit. So is this a smart move for Jermall Charlo? So is this cherry picking by Canelo? It's a lot of different questions surrounding this, especially because Canelo's not going to 160 for the fight. He's actually making him come up. So what do you think about this fight now if it goes down at 168?
I think that's where the fight should take place, being all the work Canelo done put in. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he put in more work at 168 than Charlo. Then Charlo put in at 160. You know, being that he never fought. If he'd have fought Demetrius Andrade and became undisputed at 160, I feel like he would have had more of a leg to stand on. You know, what Canelo come down there for a fight and possibly snatch up all the belts. You know what I'm saying? Out of the winner out of those two. But since he didn't, you know, he was you know, and plus, you know, he done called out Benavidez and said you would come up to 168 already. You said that then, but Benavidez returned fire and said, "Come on up here," because I think he said not Benavidez out. Then it was crickets. You know what I'm saying? And the latest thing has been, you know, Caleb Plant. They was going back and forth, and Caleb Plant and him. If he fight Canelo and win.
Hey, Caleb Plant feel like he food. He feel like Charlo is food.
Yeah, he feel like he food. You know, he say you not Canelo, so don't you duck me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Later this year, he want to get him later this year. But I feel like absolutely, positively, and unequivocally, you know what I'm saying? He has to take this fight. Listen, long as they paying you, you know what I'm saying? Now, I feel like you should get the biggest payday you ever had, more than likely. But I hear that Canelo might begin to tune up to 40, 50 million. And I heard the Charlo somewhere around the tune of 12 million. I'm not, you know, ain't sure about none of these numbers, you know.
Right.
But I'm just saying that Charlo had to take this fight because, you know, that's been a name you've been hollering for the longest, and you know, other than like Triple G. But I just feel like you had to take this fight because I think what I didn't know was they offered it to him, I think last year sometime, but he didn't want to come up to 168 or something.
Exactly.
So I didn't even know that. So with that being said, right now, all eyes on you. Now is what you're gonna do, you know. And I think that Canelo did see his last fight, and looking at, you know, nobody was really caring about the mark, whatever my man name up there at 190. That really wasn't a good look. But he had a mandatory anyway. He had a mandatory. So that's off the table. And I feel like Canelo's probably looking like this probably is a softer touch when you look at look at his last fight. Then you look at my man at 168 that just fought, what's his name? I hate that. I done drew a blank, man. My man, Beterbiev. Yeah, Beterbiev.
Oh, Beterbiev, yeah.
Beterbiev. So, you know, I think Joe Smith, Beterbiev, and I feel like Canelo probably and Joe Smith is tied up also. So I just feel like looking at Charlo's last fight, I feel like Canelo probably feel like it's perfect time. You know what I'm saying? Canelo probably feel like it's perfect time, and that's a name, and that's a fight that could happen in Dallas or either, you know, Cinco de Mayo in Vegas or wherever, you know, because Charlo got a big name and he's from Dallas, and you know Dallas got the Mexican border right there, right in Texas, and they could fight at the Cowboy Stadium, you know. So it's a lot of options, and I just feel like it's do not price yourself out of this fight, please, Charlo. You know, we've been pulling for you, and as of late, man, you know, I just feel like at this point, you need to go ahead and get in while you can and get this fight you've been screaming about. So that's what I got. What you think, brother?
Hey, man, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. There's some L's in life, you know. There's some L's in life, man. There's a price tag that you could put on that L, my brother. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Charlo's gonna put the right price tag on this L, and he gonna step up in that ring and move up to 168 and easily take this L. Now, I I do salute Canelo for at least going away from the Makabu fight. But again, I do think he strategically, as always with Canelo, he's strategically picking his opponents. Because again, you're taking a fighter who probably can't really hurt you. I don't think he honestly feels like Jermall Charlo can hurt him. And you got a Canelo who already is used to walking in the ring, 175, maybe 180, which is why now he's up there at 168 and was even thinking about going up the cruiserweight. Because you got a fighter in Canelo who's going in the ring probably almost 180. So when you bring a dude like that who's used to fighting at a weight class of 160 up into that water with that weight and that skill that Canelo has, I honestly don't feel like this fight will be that competitive, honestly. I think it's a good name for Canelo to pick, and I agree with you, Q. I think that Jermall Charlo has to take this fight because there's no more big money chances coming behind this. So you have to suck it up, move up that weight class, go for glory, do whatever you got to do to maybe bulk up a little bit, see if a little bit more added weight can help you sustain the power of Canelo. But it's a fight that Jermall Charlo has to take. I honestly, personally, as a fan, while I'll love to see, and I hope it goes down, I'm more interested in seeing him face David Benavidez, who I feel is more of a true 168 pounder, who's more of that bigger dude who could really match Canelo's size to size. Right. But at the end of the day, man, I guess if we're splitting hairs, man, and we're voting on which would we rather see between Charlo and Makabu, I gotta say, man, I'll rock with the Charlo fight all day long. Although it's definitely strategic, man. But you got anything else on it, man?
Well, I mean, just my thing is you just had to take the fight. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing but this fight has been made. I've been sitting back checking every 30 minutes, because one thing I don't want to and I don't want to tell nobody what type of price to put on their chin. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day,
hey man,
you got some damage control, man. Like you got some real damage control with your fanfare, man. Seriously, because
Hey, but you know what though? But honestly though, man, I'm not really stressed about it happening, because I do think at the end of the day, man, this is a prize fighting sport, and when the money man in Canelo Alvarez comes knocking at your door, even if you're severely at a disadvantage, you got to take that disadvantage, man, for an opportunity at a life-changing payday that could essentially, put you in retirement if you don't even want to fight anymore. He could fight Canelo this one time in the spring, and if Jermall Charlo never wants to fight again, he could be done. And the other intriguing thing that I like about this situation, and I guess this is the benefit of seeing a superstar like Canelo be a free agent, is a lot of people forget that, honestly, Canelo Alvarez only answers to himself. So the reason why Canelo Alvarez also can pick and choose these different random opponents going here and there is because he's totally free. He could go to Showtime. He could go back to DAZN. He could go on any network he wants to. He's not tied down to anybody. So I think it's interesting, too, to see an Al Heyman fighter be the B-side. But this is one of those rare situations where you got an Al Heyman fighter that is definitely the B-side, and you have to, go up with the stipulations that a Canelo Alvarez wants to go with. So whatever Canelo Alvarez puts on that plate, I'm sorry, but Jermall, he needs to go ahead and take it. Now, you do remember how – now, I will give credit to Caleb Plant, because remember, Caleb Plant did play hardball. Remember how those negotiations fell apart a time or two with the Caleb Plant fight. But I will say Caleb Plant, though, did have another 168-pound title, though, I believe, which is one of the things that I think he had as a bargaining chip. So with Jermall Charlo,
he either had the last piece of the puzzle,
right?
Or he had two pieces.
He had the last piece. He had the last piece.
That was definitely
so he had
Canelo
that title.
Right.
So ultimately, that was his.
Charlo don't have anything because you in the division that Canelo don't even care about it anymore. So you know what I'm saying. So that's why he able to call the shots.
Right. So ultimately, at the end of the day, for that
got the O.
reason, Jermall Charlo is gonna have to. I mean, at this point, we talking to Canelo, man. That O ain't no bargaining chip at this point. Hell, you talking
Right.
about
No,
a
no, no doubt.
Canelo
But I mean,
who
you
already,
got an oath.
yeah, right.
You're right.
I mean, he can use that. Don't get me wrong. When it comes to negotiations, you got to use all that you got, man. But
Right.
with that being said, though, man, let's move on to the second topic. So